Makmum 2, 1 million viewers during the pandemic, blended traditional horror with modern themes. Pengabdi Setan 2, Communion, 6.3 million viewers. Highly anticipated sequel continuing Joko Anwar horror legacy. Sewu Dino, 4 million plus viewers. Explore mystical rituals and folklore, strong cultural influence, resonance. Agak lain, rupiah 136.8 billion earnings, 9 million tickets sold, one of the year's top grossing films. Indonesian horror dominates the box office by combining urban legends, folklore, and supernatural beliefs, making a both culturally significant and commercially successful. Okay, the concept framework, the framework concept, at least, okay, from the cultural background and exposure to horror, to cultural authenticity, students' perspective on film quality, pro psychological depth, preference formulations or Indonesian film horror films, originality and uniqueness, engagement with Islamic elements. The conceptual framework examines the factors that influence student perspective on the quality of horror film from Malaysia and Indonesia. It highlights how cultural authenticity and relevance, psychological depth, and originality contribute to shaping students' overall perception of film quality, their preference between Malaysia and Indonesian film, and their engagement with Islamic elements, particularly among Muslims audience. At the same time, cultural background and exposure to the horror genre serve as moderating variables affecting how different groups of students interpret and evaluate these films. Together, this relationship provides insight into the qualities that make horror films more engaging and resonant for youth audiences in Southeast Asia. The methodology, the approach, quantitative approach using structured questionnaires, respondents, students' perspective of horror films, questionnaires, and informed consent and analysis as to using SPNS. Okay, next. So this is the SPSS result. Okay, the summary result, Munafik. Overall, Munafik received positive ratings, reflecting students' orientation, appreciation of its cultural and spiritual themes. So, students viewed Munafik as culturally and spiritually strong, particularly valuing the Islamic messages and emotional depth. However, they were less impressed by its storytelling originality, indicating room for improvement in narratives, respectively. Okay. For Pengabdi Setan, results, Pengabdi Setan scored slightly higher overall, showing stronger audience engagement with its horror and storytelling aspects. Students rated Pengabdi Setan higher across all dimensions, especially for its horror execution, storytelling, and emotional tension. It perceived as a more universally appealing horror film, balancing cultural depth with strong cinematic quality. Okay, next. So overall combination, in contrast, Pengabdi Setan scored higher overall, especially in the use of horror elements and storytelling. The film was so more likely. The film was also more likely to be recommended to others, with the mean score of 4.23 compared to Munafik 4.03. These findings suggest that while Munafik is associated with its cultural relevance, Pengabdi Setan has a stronger universal appeal as a traditional horror film. This table 4.1 and table 4.2 shows that descriptive statistics for key aspects of both films, highlighting the mean scores for each question. This comparison helps to visualize how each film was received in specific area. Students rated Pengabdi Setan across all the dimensions, especially for its horror, execution, and storytelling and emotional tension. It's perceived as a more universally appealing horror film, balancing cultural depth with strong cinematic quality. Munafik excels in Islamic and cultural authenticity. Pengabdi Setan excels in storytelling, horror impact, and psychological realism. Both films were positively received, but Pengabdi Setan shows a slightly stronger overall appeal. Higher means across scores. Okay, next. Okay. The Islamic elements in enhancing knowledge in horror films. The findings reveal that Islamic elements in Munafik were highly appreciated by students, featured as Quranic verses, prayer scenes, and the guidance of Ustad received a strong mean score of 4.06, showing that these components were effectively woven into the story. The depiction of character struggles with faith also scored 4.03, indicating the students found these moments realistic and meaningful. Although the study did not directly assess such increases in religious knowledge, the consistently high rating suggests that these elements had a positive and impactful influence on viewers, highlighting Munafik's strength in integrating faith-based themes within storytelling. The conclusion is 68.3% preferred Indonesian horror films, while 31.7% choose Malaysian films. Pengabdi Setan scored higher in storytelling and recommendation than Munafik. Munafik was valued for its Islamic and cultural depth, but Pengabdi Setan has had a broader universal appeal. Indonesian horror dominates due to the stronger storytelling and wider audience connection. Next. Okay, reliability is so big items using Chroma Alpha. Okay, we show you reliability Chroma Alpha 0.7. Survey instrument was reliable. Preferences, Indonesian movie more than Indonesian Malaysian movie. 21.7, okay. Munafik strong in Islamic. Pengabdi Setan higher scores in storytelling, horror elements, and the communication. Conclusion, students appreciate both film, but Pengabdi Setan's universal appeal made it slightly more popular than Munafik, which was praised for its cultural and spiritual depth. Next. Next. Okay. Okay. The conclusion, the analysis shows that the students appreciated Munafik for Islamic and cultural elements such as Quranic verses, prayer scenes, and guidance from an ustads, but rated in lower in terms of storytelling in contrast. In contrast, Pengabdi Setan Indonesia was favored for its strong narrative, horror elements, and universal appeal, with 68.3% of students preferring Indonesian films over Malaysian one. The findings also reveal that Islamic elements in Munafik were highly impactful, enhancing student engagement and studying. Overall, students valued the religious depth of Malaysian horror, but were more drawn to the broader global appeal of Indonesian horror films. Okay, thank you. Okay, so I watched movie on Netflix on Netflix yesterday. I saw the legendary Susanna, the late Susanna, which was crowned as the horror movie queen in Indonesia. Okay, one of the thank you very much. Okay, sorry, because too excited. Thank you very much. Thank you, Hizral, for your presentation. Yeah, next, we welcome Dr. Ahmad.